Drink this intro in. Drink it in, people. And of course, what is going on, guys? You're listening to the Realest podcast, and welcome to December 20th, 2016 Smackdown Live review. Now, if you guys watch the show, then obviously you guys are in a good mood, because that was a damn good show. A damn good show, and I'm joined by Andrew Best, of course. No Kyle or Chris. They just show up during pay-per-views.
That's their bread and butter.
It's like, oh, pay-per-view, yeah. I guess I'll do the show.
They're like our Brock Lesnar, man. They're our special attraction.
Only reason people listen to this show. Hey, is Chris or Kyle there? No? Oh. You guys have a good day. You don't want to talk to us? Not really. Okay.
Oh my god. Oh, there was a lot of interesting stuff that happened tonight. A lot of shade throwing, and it was wow. I mean, I was blown away by it. I mean, with that another. You know, at this point, I shouldn't be surprised, but the Miz keeps stepping it up every single week. Like his promo with Renee Young. Oh my god, I did not think he was going to go there. Something?
I'm actually really interested and really wanting to go watch Talking Smack.
Oh, I'm going to do it as soon as we get off the air. I'm watching it.
I'm actually really wanting to watch Talking Smack now.
Well, you know how super quiet they keep their relationship, so I'm shocked that they went there.
Well, Renee sold it well. Like they both, great job on Renee. We can't forget about Renee's involvement in this because she sold it so well. She looked at him like after she slapped him, and she's looking at him and give him that like go to hell look. If you watch, it's kind of like she's getting her little thing in her back that has her earpiece in it, taking it out. Like fuck this, I'm fucking done. That's what sold it. I mean, dude, that was just great.
Yeah, it was really good. I was like, wow. I was really blown back by it. I like I said, I didn't honestly think they were going to go that far, and they both did an excellent job, and it shows. I mean, when you put the hard work in like that, it shows. It really does.
Right, and I wouldn't even say it's just hard work. I mean, it's 2 hours.
Well, I mean,
we're not being overdone.
I mean, I can't say that 100%, but I was gonna say I don't think 2 hours has a huge difference on the content. Like there is a night and day difference between the promos from SmackDown and Raw. 90% of the time. There's only like the few exceptions there and there, like the Mick Foley and the Mick Foleys and stuff like that kind of sustain Raw. But I don't know, man. Every single week I'm excited to see what the Miz has to say, to see what is going on, and it's interesting because they took a few that I absolutely had no interest in, and now I kind of sort of want to know where the heck this is going, and it's with Natalya and Nikki Bella. It's just kind of like, wow, she dropped the B word, Yeah. Here we go again on SmackDown Live. We're dropping some profanity.
Well, let's talk about that, dude. Like, I don't know what it is, but either the writers are like really close with Nikki Bella and them, or they can't stand the Bella twins because, first off, she got called a bitch twice. She got called a bitch twice. John Cena came back up into the conversation of interest because everyone loves talking about him.
Right.
And I thought Natty she plays such a great bitch. And she really does. Like she needs to stay there. That's where she needs to stay. Is that heel.
Well, it's interesting you say that too, because it's every single time we see Nikki Bella in a feud so far in SmackDown Live, the idea of John Cena gets brought up constantly. Oh, you're just here because you're John Cena's play toy. You're only here because of the plastic. That makes you so attractive. You're loaded with the plastic surgery and shit. Like, oh man, like the shade, man. The shade is strong.
Yeah, very. But I mean, I'm like, there's plenty to talk about. I mean, obviously next week. I mean, Chicago's basically getting a pay-per-view next week. If we're being frank, I mean, every title's on the line next week.
Well, who's the Miz defending his title against? I forgot.
Dean Ambrose, right?
Is it Dean?
Well,
It might be.
he actually might not be going. His title actually might not be on the line. I'm trying to think if it is or not, because I know like the other titles are on the line 100%.
Well, it's interesting because now Baron Corbin's thrown into that title picture.
Yeah.
It was kind of awkward how he snuck his way in there, because it was like, all right, well, if you beat Dolph Ziggler, you're in, he's out. And then, if I'm looking at it from my standpoint, like if I'm Daniel Bryan, why the heck did I throw Baron Corbin in that match? Because if you really look at it, technical speaking, like I see why they did it, obviously, but the dude got himself intentionally double counted out because he was too busy messing around with Dolph Ziggler and AJ Styles. So if I'm looking at it from that perspective, he doesn't earn his championship match. Because he kind of screwed himself out of his own victory.
You're right, but in a way, Dolph Ziggler also doesn't, because he couldn't beat him, and even though it's a double countout and it is Baron Corbin's fault, it's like, well, you got put into that situation because you weren't able to beat him.
Mm.
So it's like a double negative.
Right.
At least that's how I look at it.
Yeah, it's just for me, it's kind of like, eh. Well, I mean, it's cool that he's actually going to be in the championship picture and actually using them now. And they're not going to do anything with it. AJ Styles is obviously going to retain it.
Yeah, 100%. We'll see. Yeah, I mean, he's going to at least keep it until either the Royal Rumble or Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, he isn't going to drop it on SmackDown.
No. I
would be very, very surprised if he drops it on SmackDown.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it was an interesting. Like I said, it was a great night. I think obviously promos held the show, and this is what the entire show was on or based upon was promos. So, I mean, next week every show is in every Monday Night Raw and SmackDown are in Chicago. So Chicago gets a double show.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I want you to think of what SmackDown is going to be giving us next week, and then think about it. What Raw is giving us next week.
Well, we don't know what Raw is giving us next week. We don't know what direction they're going in.
Exactly.
That's the problem.
We're getting one hell of a show from SmackDown. But with Raw, we're like, okay, what's going to happen? I'm scared. What's going to happen here? That's what I'm trying to say. Is we don't know what's going to happen, and it's scary.
Well, we don't know anything story-wise, like what's going on. Maybe like the only thing we know is Bailey versus Charlotte.
I'm saying just match-wise, look what we're getting. We're getting we're getting a really good show. Like I'm honest, like I've said yesterday, I am honestly really excited for the next show, for the next SmackDown. I honestly thought tonight's SmackDown wasn't going to be that great, but I was wrong, and it was great.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say great. It was really good. Really good.
Oh my god, that match with Ellsworth.
You know what? Here's the thing, and people aren't going to realize this, is he's still hurt.
What, Ellsworth?
No. Styles.
Oh, Styles.
Still messing
yeah.
And I'm glad they did.
I'm glad they did it the way they did. Me too. I was just thinking that.
I'm glad they didn't let Ellsworth get anything in, because he didn't need to.
No, not at all.
That was the best way. I honestly would have been very upset if they would have allowed Ellsworth to have anything over AJ Styles.
Right, on his own. Yeah.
The match that he had a long, 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 long time ago, you know, when it was AJ Styles and him one on one, that was fine for the, obviously for the title, that was
Mm,
fine. But this 100% is the, great way to get James Ellsworth out of the main title picture and out of everything.
right. Yeah, absolutely.
But how about Becky Lynch acting like acting like a
A luchador. Yeah,
yeah.
it's just it's funny
I
because she
knew from the get
pulled.
go who it was.
Oh yeah, obviously. She pulled the whole Edge and Christian move on him.
Hmm. It was so easy to predict that was her.
Yeah.
But I mean, was there anything that caught your eye that you're wanting to really get on?
Um. No, we talked about the Miz. I think that was like the number one thing you had to talk about. That was, in my opinion, the best moment of tonight. I mean, for them to put that in the first hour, it was just like bam, 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 right away. It was just such good symmetry what was going on. Plus the other stuff with the tag team division going on with the Wyatt family. It's so interesting. But the one thing I do want to point out is how we were talking about Raw and everything like that. It's interesting because I read an article, and the article basically said that the reason why they did Sasha and Charlotte for so long was that they wanted to lead up to Bailey, to the idea of Bailey, and how Vince absolutely hates Sasha,
No,
which we
yeah, I saw
absolutely
that. I
know.
saw that earlier.
And
He's not a big
yeah,
fan of Sasha at all. He doesn't think that she's a moneymaker.
yeah, but he thinks Bailey is, and she is. Basically what this article said in a nutshell was that Bailey is going to be the next John Cena,
For the
and
women.
for the women, and what they've done with Charlotte is they build her up to like a near perfect state, and they're gonna have Bailey knock it all down at like the first pay-per-view she gets a chance at her,
Yeah.
and that's how they're gonna springboard her into that you know stardom. That was their plan all along. So I actually wanted to get your thoughts on that. I don't know if I sent that to you.
No, I saw it on.
I know I
I
sent
saw
a
it on
few
Twitter.
stuff to you, but I kind of want to get your thoughts on that because, I mean, I kind of I respect Bailey and I think Bailey needs to be up there in the upper echelons, but I really want to get your thoughts on the idea of Vince kind of stepping on Sasha to get to Bailey, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. The only thing I can say that I'm afraid of for Bailey is, let's be real. Out of the Shield, everyone liked Roman Reigns. If I'm not, I at this point I wasn't. I actually honestly wasn't watching wrestling. I was out of it at this point. So am I right? Everyone was a Roman Reigns fan when he was in the Shield.
Yeah,
Like he was
everyone
like,
thought he was awesome because he was the
okay,
tank. He was the one that
okay.
took everybody out,
So
right?
so what I'm trying to get at is all that was organic. Everything that Bailey, Sasha, and Charlotte have has been organic. What I am afraid of is we're going to get, because everything that is about to happen is about to be forced. So what do I mean by forced? If you guys don't know what I mean by forced, look at Roman Reigns, how he's very forced on your television, how they are forcing you to like the guy. They are putting him in every situation to make it where you have to like him. And that's what I am afraid of for Bailey. Because I'll be completely honest with you, I'm getting very tired of Enzo and Cass. They're becoming very stale.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're not using them effectively as well. When you look at it,
Yeah.
they're kind of putting them in the same mode that the Ascension are at this point. They're kind of just being thrown into random feuds just because people like them.
Yeah. So, and another thing, we don't want it to be pushed. You can't, or forced, because Bailey's very likable. I love Bailey, but I could tell you this: if it's gonna be if she gets pushed as hard as Roman did, it's gonna become very old, and we're gonna be sitting here having the same conversations that we are having for Roman Reigns over Bailey. Because I mean, they've already made so much merchandise for Bailey; it's unreal. Now, I honestly don't understand at all how Vince is saying that how he's not a big fan of Sasha and how he thinks that she's not a moneymaker. I don't. The crowd loves her. The only reason why her and Charlotte are getting booed at all is because of the fact that that feud got forced down our throats, and we saw it 6 times.
Right.
And
And they're
every
doing that all for this build up for apparently Bailey. They're making Charlotte look unstoppable in terms of pay per
and
views.
I'll be completely honest with you. If you were to ask me right now, who would I rather see, Bailey versus Charlotte or Bailey versus Sasha? It'd be 100% Bailey versus Sasha. Like, I could care less about seeing Bailey and, well, I'm not gonna say care less because I know it'll be good, but I mean, I'd rather see Bailey and Sasha go at it because and for me, I'm invested in that. So, the best word I can, like, the best thing I could tell you to just finish this up is I'm afraid for Bailey.
Yeah, that's very concerning considering that she's going to be pushed as hard as she is come 2017. Because 2017, from what I understand, from what I've read, is going to be Bailey's year. You know?
Yeah, I mean, they've been protecting her. I mean, speaking of Charlotte, what in the hell happened to Dana Brooke?
Yeah, she disappeared.
It's just like, oh, we're no longer friends anymore.
Yeah, I don't know what they did with her. It's just kind of like, all right, well, you don't come out with me anymore. I guess I'm done with you. Go away.
But I've been, I wouldn't say predictable, but it's been kind of like you can tell that 2017 was going to be her year with the way they protected Bailey.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I don't mind it, but I don't. Now it kind of comes up to, okay, then why do we have Nia Jax in line to do something with Bailey or Sasha? Now, I did read Dave Meltzer. He was on. He always gets on Twitter and he always responds to people's questions. And he got asked about Sasha Banks, and he said that Sasha's going to be on the card. He just doesn't know what it is, and apparently it's going to be big. So her involvement on the card is going to be big. So it's just we don't know, and it honestly and truthfully could be a triple threat match at WrestleMania again. It wouldn't surprise me, and part of me says I wouldn't mind it. Like this past year at WrestleMania, I wouldn't say got bothered, but I would have rather seen Charlotte versus Sasha 1-on-1 at WrestleMania than a triple threat. But when it comes to this, I mean, part of me doesn't mind it, but then again, part of me does because it's like I've already seen Sasha versus Charlotte so many times.
Like you need a break from it before you kind of go to that well again.
Yeah, and that, and I mean, if they're trying to say that one pay per view is going to be our break because they're going to pull the injury angle, then it's kind of like,
Well, see, and I've been sending you stuff all day. I've been like spamming your inbox with stuff, and that was the one thing I sent you, that picture of Sasha, and it was like buy my merch because I need it to cover my medical bills. Like, really? Like that just bothered me. Like first they run with the whole "I'm not the boss anymore" persona, and then they run with the injury angle, and it was kind of like, okay, strike two. And then strike three for me was that picture. I was kind of like, wow, they really, really are getting on my last nerve when it comes to this whole injury angle.
right.
Like it's even translating on the Twitter. Like that's a whole new, scape for wrestling. Now they're gonna shove the injury angle down on Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, luckily I don't follow her on anything because I follow a few people when it comes to like WWE superstars. I don't follow her. I mean, yeah, I can see where you're bothered by it, but I kind of laugh at it because I think she's just tweeting at it to be a joke. I don't think that she's being forced to say that. I think she's just doing it to joke around with. But I can see where you're being frustrated, where your frustration is. But I mean, but speaking of injuries, obviously Zack Ryder will be out for 6 to 9 months with his knee injury. Um,
Mm.
I
Yeah,
think,
it's such a tough break too.
yeah, it is. It really
I
is
mean,
a tough break.
it was important. for him and Mojo to actually have this opportunity because we talked about this. I think it was last week. We talked about this being the fact that we needed a team to kind of get sacrificed to Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family before American Alpha takes that opportunity. And I honestly think they might decide to rush into it with this Four Corners challenge.
I don't think they're rushing into it. Honestly and truthfully, I think they answered. I think they answered the injury as the best that they could. I think this is the perfect way to answer because you can't have a number one contenders match. You can't have that. So
Right.
I think what they're doing with having a 4-way for the tag team titles is fine. I think I think what's important here is to have American Alpha look good. I don't think American Alpha, in my opinion, if they let's say that they are the next team to go up for the titles, American Alpha cannot be the team to take the pin. That's my only thing with this is American Alpha can't be the team to take the pin. If they're not the team to take the pin, I think everything is fine.
Right. Yeah, but I mean that's one of the big matches that are slated for next week.
Yeah.
But I mean that's not all. I mean we also had the return of John Cena, and they'd
Yeah.
be playing vignettes all day today,
Yeah,
prepping that.
they're letting us know.
Yeah, yeah. He's coming home. Like it's funny too because I know he doesn't want to be like known as this, and I know it was kind of like a big thing back when The Rock came in. But John Cena is really becoming The Rock, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, but at the same time,
To a certain extent.
he's I think he's setting himself up for retirement. That way, he has something there. I mean, when it came to The Rock, after the whole the whole plan for Goldberg coming into WWE a long time ago in 03 was they were going to have one match which Goldberg would win and then a WrestleMania match and The Rock would win that match. So, I mean, The Rock went off and did a movie, came back and he did heel Rock and he left again and never came back. Like the thing is what people don't like about The Rock is, he left and he never came back and he never said anything about, how basically never did anything to help WWE. But he comes back and says how he's all about WWE, this is my home, blah, 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 but then turns around and we won't see him until WrestleMania again.
Right.
So I get
But I
where
mean,
that
he didn't
frustration
have
is.
to retire. He didn't have to retire.
Well,
He could have wrestled.
Technically,
I mean,
he hasn't retired.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying like he didn't have to retire from wrestling like to go into the movie business. That was something that he wanted to do and he fell in love with. So I mean, like he was like, I kind of did everything I could in wrestling, I guess, and he was like, all right, well, I'm just gonna go conquer this world, and then he's gonna come back every once in a while. And yeah, I definitely see that relationship where it can be frustrating, but it's just kind of like, I don't know, man. It's like it's hard to be mad at The Rock.
Well, I mean, I can see where the WWE superstars get frustrated because what they're frustrated about is I want you to think about this, okay? So let's say I don't know, we'll just put you along. I don't know, I'm trying to think.
I would say CM Punk.
No.
I would think CM Punk's the perfect example.
No, I wouldn't even put him with CM Punk. Okay, let's say you yourself, you're a WWE superstar, and you struggle a lot to find WWE TV time. Like it's hard for you to get on TV. But The Rock comes back maybe once a year, and he gets all the TV time he wants. And he's immediately put into the main event. When you work your ass off every single week to get yourself a spot, and sometimes you're not able to, but he gets immediately the main event and he gets the spotlight and has all the credentials that he has. Granted, it's The Rock, but at the same time, when you're the
Right.
one working your ass off and you're the one getting scratched because of The Rock, it's kind of like, well, what the hell? So
And you can say that about any returning wrestler, like Brock Lesnar, Triple H. I mean, you can just name a whole crap load of them. They come back. Chris Jericho. I mean, you can even say the same thing about Chris Jericho, and I absolutely love Chris Jericho. I'm not mocking Chris Jericho, but Chris Jericho has come back and he's taken up a lot of.
But can you really
airtime.
put Jericho up there? Because, I mean, with Jericho, the guy is, he comes back and he's there. Like he's there for.
Well,
a
yeah.
while.
But he's gonna eventually go, and like you could argue that that spot with Kevin Owens could have been filled with somebody else. But because it was Chris Jericho, you know, he had that airtime. But I mean, like I said, I am not knocking Chris Jericho. I mean, I absolutely love Chris Jericho. It's just, I mean, if you're going to make the argument for The Rock, I could say 100% that, pretty much any guy that has, been like a major name and it comes in. I mean, the only exception that I would say would be guys like AJ Styles who haven't been in the WWE. That to me, doesn't count. They kind of earned their spot onto the roster. And, I say they kind of earned their spot onto the roster because look at the other guys that they brought in from other companies, so far, like Anderson and Gallows. They haven't really earned their spot. Yeah, they have TV time, but, not as much as AJ Styles, I would argue.
That's also like putting a minor league baseball player up next to Mike Trout, who's a
Yeah.
great baseball player, if not the best baseball player right now.
But I mean, they thought AJ Styles was nothing better than a mid card talent, so
But you know, I mean, we might as well. I mean, who do you think is going to win in this women's match between Alexa Bliss and Becky Lynch? Do you really think they'll let Alexa just go off into the sunset with the title?
I think they should. I think that they should let her hold on to it and have a different feud strike. Becky Lynch, she had the title for a few months. I'd say leave it at that for now. You can always have a rematch down the line, and with somebody else, and have her pick up the title. I don't think Alexa Bliss and Becky Lynch should go back and forth like Charlotte and Sasha, because if Alexa Bliss loses, there's another rematch coming in, and that brings up the potential for extending the feud well beyond what it needs to be. If it's me, I'd say at the end of this, this feud here, you drop it. You drop it and you put somebody else in there. And there are several names that I can think of that you can throw in there just to fill the void until you find a better opponent for it.
Okay, but are you really going to basically get away we're just passing time, we're just passing time stuff for the Royal Rumble? Like if it's Roadblock or Fastlane or one of these like little small pay-per-views, I'm totally like I agree with that. Gets like Natalia did with Charlotte, sort of a thing.
Oh, I'm honestly thinking that this is going to go into the Royal Rumble, and that's when it's going to stop.
Who?
I don't think
Becky
it's
and Alexa.
Yeah, I don't think it's ending tomorrow.
I honestly think it's going to go into WrestleMania.
If it goes into WrestleMania, I'm perfectly fine with that.
I mean, I'm okay with it, but at the same time, it's like it just depends. Are we going to have the same thing that we saw with Charlotte and Sasha Banks?
Yeah, I just don't want her to drop the title right now. I think that she should hold on to it. I mean, if they're going to do Bliss and Lynch for WrestleMania, by all means do it. It's organic. Let it happen, But don't have her drop the title and then have her go for it again. It just... I think that they need to keep the prestige that the women's title has at this point, and dropping the title again, just shortly after Alexa got it, isn't really a smart move, in my opinion. I think that she should have it for a while. And, Alexa Bliss, in my opinion, I think she's proven that she can really, I don't want to 100% say carry a feud, but she could definitely pull her weight in a feud.
Yeah, it just depends on how this feud goes. If you want my honest opinion, that's all that matters is how do they do this feud. That's just me.
Well, yeah, and unfortunately, we'll just have to wait and see in what direction they're going to go in.
Yeah.
But, other than that, they kind of threw a curveball at me towards the end of that show. And, I know last week, or last night, I really was disappointed with what they were doing with the whole Alicia Fox thing, with Cedric Alexander, who's an excellent talent, and now how they kind of pulled Noam Dar in that and made him basically Gene Snitsky and ruined his character.
Right.
What on God's green earth are they planning now? Like, this is probably the only thing I'm saying I'm throwing the caution flag out. And I'm kind of like, all right, I'm a little nervous. What is Carmella doing with James Ellsworth?
I don't know. It's just gonna give. If you want the honest truth, they probably could throw a Santino Marella type thing at him and just do the humor card. Because remember, Santino was with Maria way back in the day.
Oh yeah, then he was also with Beth Phoenix. you know,
So that's the only thing I guess. I think he's just gonna be a humorous mid carder.
I'm just curious as to what they're planning with him and everything. And you know what? We haven't talked about this yet at all on any of the shows because it doesn't fall under Raw or SmackDown at this point. But WWE dropped a huge announcement, and I think we should actually talk about it, especially if we're not going to have next big thing or keeping it real. I mean, I'm not sure what our plans are going forward since this is basically Christmas weekend.
Right.
But you know, they announced that there's going to be a new championship. It's going to be a 2-week tournament, the United Kingdom Championship.
Right.
And I'm kind of curious what your thoughts on is with that because ever since the Cruiserweight Classic, it seems like the ratings for things like those tournaments have been skyrocketing. Then they went with the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Tournament last month, and now it looks like in January they're going to go with this United Nation or not United Nations United Kingdom Championship, and they've already been talking about how they want to do a women's division tournament. So it looks like what they're doing is they're throwing all these content at us, and I'm kind of curious where this championship's going to fall, and if it was kind of too much too soon.
I mean, I know they're having a women's tournament coming, like kind of what they did with the Cruiserweight Classic, and the United Kingdom tournament. Look, the way I look at it is, I think they're overdoing it. I think they're just, I don't know. It's like they want. Well, I know what they're doing. They want someone to. They want more people to buy the network, and as of right now, they don't have a reason. And I know you're wanting to bring this up, the fact that they're thinking about canceling more pay-per-views, which I'm totally fine with, because look, it's not overdoing it, or it's very overdoing it. It gets kind of not annoying, but it's like, okay, pay-per-view this month. Well, shit, 2 weeks. 2 weeks from now, there's another pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, shit. It's
But I mean, all that is just reason for you to buy the network because
yeah, it
why
is. But
why
it's
would you
just
waste
so
all that money on a
much.
pay per view for cable when you could just pay $9.99 a month and get the pay per
No,
views
but just think about it.
in
It's
a row?
so much. It really is a lot.
But you brought up an excellent point where how they're thinking about getting rid of the pay per views. I read an article and I think I actually did send you this one where they were talking about how they wanted to get rid of um, the brand exclusive pay per views and just make it double pay per views again because of yeah, because of the low ratings when it comes to the pay per views. And you know what? It was interesting because they said the low ratings for TLC and Roadblock. TLC, I don't know what the hell they're fucking smoking because that was a great pay per view. Roadblock, absolutely, I could see that. I could see them saying, "Oh, yeah, Roadblock wasn't so good. Yeah, we might want to reconsider what we're doing." But TLC, I mean, there was only one bad match on that card.
Well, I'm trying to look at like pay-per-view wise, like what would happen. Like the Royal Rumble was obviously a joint was to the Rock meter. Okay, so like they had the Royal Rumble, which they both brands were at. This is back in '03. I want to say No Way Out was the same thing. I'm trying not to either No Way Out was the same thing or it was a Raw exclusive, because you
I
got
want to say No Way Out, man, was always a SmackDown pay per view.
well, it has the Rock and hang on. Okay, I had to make sure that I muted that real quick because I don't want no copyright claims from WWE because I'm trying to get information. No Way Out was a Raw and SmackDown pay-per-view.
It was both.
Yeah, it was a Raw and SmackDown pay-per-view. This is back in 03, so that's already in 2003. That's already 2 pay-per-views that are both brands. WrestleMania obviously a both brand, and then in April it was Backlash, which was a SmackDown exclusive. Wait, no, it wasn't. It was SmackDown.
It was Raw.
No, it was SmackDown and Raw because Goldberg faced The Rock.
Well, I mean, I know that Backlash would end up being a Raw pay-per-view because that was really big for Raw. Eventually.
Yeah. So, and then turn around. It's Brock Lesnar defending the WWE Championship against John Cena. Judgment Day, Triple H and Kevin Nash. Okay, so this was again. It was a 2-way
Raw pay-per-view.
No, it was It was Raw and SmackDown in May. And then you turn around. Triple H defends, fights against Tony Kevin Nash. So Insurrection or Insurrection, I don't know what it was called. This Insurrection was a Raw exclusive pay-per-view.
Right. I remember
Triple
that.
H defends Kevin Nash, Hell in a Cell, Chris Jericho, Goldberg, Flair, Shawn. So Bad Blood was also a Raw. So 2 straight. Oh well, they were these this pay-per-view. There was 2 pay-per-views in 1 month. This one was June 7th. The other one was June 15th. And then Vengeance was a SmackDown exclusive pay-per-view.
Yeah, and that one flip-flopped over the years.
SummerSlam, obviously both. Unforgiven was a Raw.
I want to say Raw.
It was Raw. No Mercy was SmackDown. Survivor Series, obviously both. And then Armageddon was a Raw. So at this time they were giving more to Raw, and I think that's what they would do now. But why not just have 1 month, 1 pay-per-view it's 1 pay-per-view, the next month is another. And if they can't do that, we're because like the pay-per-views that I named that were by themselves, like No Mercy, that was Eddie Guerrero versus Brock Lesnar. So obviously, that alone can be a SmackDown pay-per-view.
But I mean, the whole reason why we have the brand split is they give other guys opportunities, and if you start joint branding pay-per-views, you're either going to have one of 2 things. You're either going to have a huge show, a huge 4-hour plus show, or you're really going to overlook some talent, and you're only going to put the best talent into your pay-per-views.
Right. Like, I'm going to continue to look at more pay-per-views. Because this is still, like, kind of hard. New Year's Revolution was a Raw pay-per-view. Road to WrestleMania 21, so this is still when John Cena was a part of. So the Royal Rumble was both. As Big Show challenges No Way Out was a SmackDown pay-per-view. Then
because that was when he was
he
was
the
United
JBL.
States champion.
He's going after JBL. Backlash was a Triple H for the WWE Championship. Was obviously a Raw pay-per-view. Judgment Day was a SmackDown pay-per-view. Vengeance was a Raw pay-per-view. Great American Bash, holy shit.
Yeah, that's
SmackDown. SummerSlam both. Unforgiven was SmackDown. No Mercy was SmackDown. Wait, Unforgiven. Timeout.
Unforgiven might have been Raw.
No,
it might have been SmackDown.
Okay, so by then, John Cena flipped. So he went to Raw in 05. So
that was right away, man. As soon as he won that title and they did the draft, they threw him on Raw.
Okay, so Unforgiven was a Raw pay-per-view. No Mercy, again, was a SmackDown pay-per-view. Taboo Tuesday was John Cena, so it was a Raw pay-per-view.
Now, Taboo Tuesday was an interesting pay-per-view because they would
Survivor Series
they would vote on everything. You would have the crowd. They would vote on a particular match. You would go on the internet and you would vote it.
Yeah.
Oh, those were the days. I don't know, man. It's just when I look at that and I kind of, look at what the WWE product is, I feel like it's too soon to turn around and say, oh, it was a failure. Let's kind of join the pay-per-views. Because if you look at the SmackDown side has been a huge success. And, it's interesting because none of the articles I read say that SmackDown has a higher viewership than Raw. And I'm curious what the difference is because I haven't really seen statistics on it. But you know, for, I don't know if it's just me or if it's just us, but like I see SmackDown as the better product. So it's kind of interesting that Raw is kind of still holding the lead in terms of
They
ratings.
just need to, I'm looking at it again. They just need to have it where January's Raw's pay per view. Then, or they have two pay per views in January. One is for Raw. The second is the Royal Rumble, and then February hits, and that's SmackDown's pay per view. And then they don't have anything in March. They don't need to have anything in March because the reason why I say they just need to drop it is because look, they need to develop storylines. Instead of having Dean Ambrose go for the title 3 times, why not develop a month-long storyline to build this rivalry and then end it there? But instead, we get 3 chances for Dean Ambrose, and yeah, I'm saying 3 because he got a triple threat match, a one-on-one, and another one-on-one.
Mm.
So why not build the rivalries and build these stories? Like Edge and John Cena, how great was that?
That was one of the best feuds of all time.
Exactly.
You know, but I mean, then again, that was Edge and John Cena. You know, I
Right.
mean, you can't really compare that to really much of the talent that we have today. I mean, I don't know, man. Like AJ Styles, like he does great and all, but it's kind of like, who does he really have that really has that chemistry with him? You know, we haven't seen it yet.
Right.
You could say, that's his Edge, or his John Cena. No, I mean, like John Cena and AJ Styles was excellent. It was excellent, but was it one of John Cena's all time feuds? I would say no.
The
I
only
still
reason I would
prefer
say
Edge.
yes
I
is
still prefer
because
Orton.
I still think, if you were to ask me his top 3 feuds, it's 100% number 1, John Cena and Edge. Number 2, I guess you could throw up Orton, and number 3 would easily be AJ Styles versus John Cena. I think that out of 2000 through 2010 to now, I think this is the best feud.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I mean, it's just, I don't know, man. It's just like it takes something special to get that sort of um yeah, it's sort of action. And it's not that AJ Styles isn't special. It's just he really doesn't have anybody to work with that has that magic at the current moment. I mean, you can't say that about Dean Ambrose, and you can't say that about Dolph Ziggler.
Right.
I mean, I'm kind of fed up with the whole Dolph Ziggler character. I kind of wish that they do something to kind of remake his character, because I'm tired of the feuds where every single time he earns an opportunity, oh well, it's okay because you're just a loser. You're never gonna do anything because you're a loser. I'm tired of that stigma going around. It's so annoying, especially as a Dolph Ziggler fan. I mean, like how does he maintain fans? You know? Oh well, I like Dolph Ziggler, but he loses all the time. It just, for me, it's kind of like, I don't know, man. It's so hard to get behind him and stay behind him.
Yeah. I mean, that's been my issue with him from the get-go, is that. But I think that SmackDown, I think WWE should just go back to the more simple because, I don't know, for me it kind of loses the hype and as special that a pay-per-view is when you have 2 a month. Before it's like, oh, this is, pay-per-view, woohoo, and then it turns. But here's my thing: if they do joint pay-per-views every now and then, they have like those months where they do have that's not like the big 4 pay-per-views, then I mean, it turns into the question: do you have those that are 4 hours? Because I mean, let's look at the paper. Let's look at 2015. I'm gonna look at 15, not 14 or 16 so far. So not including no, I'm gonna look at 16 just before the brand split. So before the brand split, we had the Royal Rumble, then Fastlane. I mean, and then for March we had Roadblock because I'm considering that a fucking pay per view. WrestleMania, then you had Payback, which you could have that be a Raw one. Extreme Rules can be a SmackDown one, And then June is Money in the Bank, and I know they're wanting to make that one of the big pay-per-views. So the question comes into play: do you make that a 4-hour show, and do you have both? I think yes. And then July you can be a Raw pay-per-view, and then turn around SummerSlam is Boom, Boom both. September turns into Raw or SmackDown. October is Raw. Uh, yeah, October's Raw. November Survivor Series. December is SmackDown, and then January is Raw, and you can turn around and have the Royal Rumble right after, or you could just go straight into the Royal Rumble.
Mm. It's interesting too because the Royal Rumble's coming up, but we haven't had any. I mean, other than Raw and like the two people that have already laid claim to their apparent entrance to the Royal Rumble. It's just normally we have some sort of build up for the Royal Rumble. We haven't had any on either show.
Hey, what's going on?
Oh well,
when was this? I didn't even look. What's going on, Justin? SmackDown Live is better than Raw. Yes, it is. This
yeah,
totally did
absolutely.
not totally did not even look at my phone when this was happening, or phone. Look at the chat. I was looking at the months and everything. But we are kind of babbling, or just babbling on by now. I think it's about that time that we close the show off.
All right.
That's just me. I know you want to. I know you love talking as much as I do, but that is going to do it for us. We've been going on and on about this. We've obviously tonight was a great show. The best thing that we can say about this is next week's going to be awesome. For Andrew, I'm Blake Carter, and look, I'm just going to throw it out in the line. I'm going to make a video about what's going on with everything. Usually we have weekly shows, but since I've gotten back from Texas, there's been nothing but, I wouldn't say bad things happen. Well, yeah, they've been kind of bad. So my grandmother fell down as soon as I got back from Texas in November, and she really hurt herself. And needless to say, it got to a point where she was hurting when she went to use the bathroom. So she went to the hospital, and they found out that her kidney is 3 times bigger than what it's supposed to be. So I have been very, very unmotivated to do things because I've been having a lot going on with my family. Like there was a point where we thought that she was going to pass away because, she doesn't tell us what's going on. So that's why we haven't been seeing a lot of the weekly shows. I mean, obviously I want to do them. It's just very, very hard to whenever I have all this going on. And I promise that we will be going back to these. It's just once this clears up, and I'm sure by the end of this month that it will clear up, we'll be back. So until probably until next Monday, we'll be live again with the Monday Night Raw review. I'm going to try to get Kyle in here for Tuesday because Tuesday is going to be a big show. So until then, everyone have a very good Christmas and be safe. Make sure you're safe. Have a good time. Merry Christmas to you, Andrew, because I'm sure we're going to talk on Christmas. But until next time.
Absolutely, and you as well.
Peace out.
Later.